Hi Tubies, here's Alexander again, and welcome to my next painting tutorial. This time it's again a Lord of the Rings tutorial, and from all the messages I've received, over 80% of the followers that wanted to have Lord of the Rings miniatures to be painted, they wanted to have Warrior of Minas Tirith. So here's the miniature. As you can see, it's an old pewter model, but nevertheless it will be painted like all the other stuff, for example plastic or fine cast. So the first thing we're going to do is we prime the miniature in black, and then we use our ancient holding device that I get messages over and over again. This is this thing here. This is a really ancient holding device, giving from one generation of painter to the others, and it is consisted of the top thing here, that is sticky tack, and the device itself is called an old painting pot. And when I simply turn it around, you might notice what kind of pot it is. So it's really, oh, here you can see the color that what it was in there. So in order to use that, you simply place your miniature with a little bit pressure on it, and it will not leave the holding device, and you can paint your miniature without touching it. So enough said. I will prime this miniature now in black. I use black spray primer. For that, the brand doesn't matter if it is GW or Army Painter or anything else like Krylon or so. Just spray prime him in black, and I'll be back when he's dry. Okay, the miniature is primed now, and as you can see, here and there are little spots that are still silver, but that's not very important. I get often the question how to prime your miniature properly. There are several factors that will build into this. So first of all, if you take your spray can here, give it a good shake. So it is quite important that it's well shaken, so let's say 30 seconds should do it at least. And then when you are spraying, don't go with your spray can too close to the miniature like that, because when you do that, you simply completely overload the miniature with a primer and all the detail is lost. So take a good, well, let's say 20 to 30 centimeters wide between your miniature and the spray can, and also you should notice that the spray can here can be cleaned, just like that. So, and then the hole is clean again. Other thing to notice is the room temperature. If the temperature in the room is quite hot, it sometimes happens that the spray coming out from the spray can is drying while it is still in the air, and when it then hits the miniature, it gives a rough surface that is kind of ugly. So if you're in a real warm condition, then you should test spray it on a sheet of plastic or something like that to see the distance you need to provide a good coat. So and also if you're going too wide away with a spray primer, that sometimes happens. So also it is noticed that don't push down and spray and spray and spray. Make it in short bursts and always in motion. Then you should get a nice even coat like that. So enough talking about priming. Well, we will start now with a first color coat. Well, the Warriors of Minas Tirith to paint is quite easy. The main colors of this miniature are just black and silver. And for that I use Iron Breaker. Simply shake up the pot, take your paint on the palette, take a well, an old brush or something like a dry brush, something bigger along that line. So you can simply paint with a good coat over it so that it will cover nicely. So, and then you paint all the parts that on the miniature that are supposed to be silver. Don't worry if you get a little bit over paint here and there. We will fix that later. So, as you can see, simply paint it on, and I'll be back when all the parts are silver. So, the metal parts are silver now, and what I will do now is use Abaddon Black, or any other black color that you have, and I will now paint in the black details and fix that way also the parts that we have over painted. So for that instance, I'm using here a standard brush that has a good size, a good pointy edge, and you can control your paint lines quite nice with that. So here are the gloves. So just be patient with what you're doing. Don't rush through it. You have all the time you need. It doesn't matter if your friend can paint 3 times as fast as you. As long as you're making a good quality job, then everything is fine. This is not a race, this is a hobby. So, just simply be patient and everything is fine. Everybody can paint. You just need the patience. So, simply overpaint all the black areas. And try not to overpaint the silver areas again. But when that happens, don't worry, just take a little bit of silver and correct it again. So here, this little weapon holding belt. And so on. You get the point? Okay. I'm just painting everything else in black. So, I'll be right back when this is done. That step is also done. As you can see, all the black areas are nice and even now. And they are separated from the silver parts. So, now it's time to give the miniature some highlights. And for that, I'm using now Ashen Gray. Just put a little bit on the palette. Water the color down a little bit. Just one drop into it. So that it is like this consistency here. So, and you see this brush is now totally overloaded. And in order to fix that, you simply take a paper towel and then you drag the brush along. And you can now paint the miniature with a not overloaded brush, as you can see. And what I'm doing now here for highlighting is I'm picking out the top parts. For example, here, this folder section, this folds in the in his cloak or whatever it is called. So I'm taking here the top part and paint it now in gray and leave the recess in dark. You can see. So again here's the top part, here's one, a little bit here. You simply follow with your tip of the brush the lines. Just like that. Don't overdo it. Like that, it's totally okay. So then here we make here a little bit highlight. Then maybe here this leather band at his shoes. Then here a little bit at his arm, his gloves. So it's very easy. And then we came to the banner here. Paint then like that here, this part. And then you want maybe to have here a little bit of a transition. And for that, you simply water down the color quite a lot. And then you go over that again. And you're simply fading the color. So, like that. You see? With a totally watered down color, you can go over the black and make it a little bit grayish, take away a little bit of the old color. And you're working back and forth until you have the desired effect. Like that, you see? So, then we take here a little bit, just picking out the high spots where the light would strike and make it a little bit brighter. Like that. So also keep in mind what kind of miniature this is. Is this a gaming miniature or something you want to put on the shelf? So for gaming miniatures, it is totally okay if there's here and there a little mistake or imperfections. You won't notice that on the gaming table because most of the time you're at least an arm's length away from your miniature. So now we will go and paint the little standard in a brown tone. So let's take here Rhinox hide. So simply paint the banner pole with this brown color. Quite easy. Don't try to not hit the other painted areas. And as said before, if that happens, no problem, you can fix that. So then here we go in from the top carefully. So this techniques here for this standard bearer also apply to the ones with the swords and the shields and the one with the spears or whatever weapon combination you have on your miniature. So Doesn't matter. Okay, the banner pole is also brown now. Now it's time to give the face a little bit of flesh tone. And for that I'm using red skin flesh. This here. Sorry for that. Just simply paint the face inside the helmet. So like that. Now we leave that to dry, and I'm back in a second. Okay, the skin tone is dry now, and now we will highlight the skin, and for that I use also the red skin flesh, and I will highlight it with a Vallejo model color Solomon Rose. So just take your palette, put a little bit of the red skin flesh on it, like there. And then you take a little bit of your Solomon Rose and mix it right in. And that way you have now a mid-tone skin tone. Or you could pre-buy such a color if you find them. I don't have a mid-tone color, but well, mixing will fix that, as you can see. And now I'm just painting over the face again, but leaving the recesses in the darker color. So I know this looks a little bit ugly right now, but we will fix that. So now I use pure Solomon Rose. For the chin here, and a little bit on the cheeks. Well, the face itself is not modeled that good, and in this very tight helmet it's quite hard to paint, but in order to fix that, that's quite easy. We use a wash, and for that we will use which one? We will use Reichland Flesh Shade for that. So just take a little bit on your brush, and then we'll go over it, not too much, just like that, to give it a little bit more definition. So, and that needs to dry now. Be right back. So now we will correct the helmet, and for that I use the metal color again, Iron Breaker. And now I will correct here the lines of the helmet. Very carefully. And voila, it looks quite better. Okay, oh, there you see, there I've made a mistake now, but that's not kind of a big deal. We just take our old color, the shade, Rhinox hide, and simply overpaint it. Damage fixed. So the miniature is almost done now. What I will do now is take out here the oh, they have forgotten to paint some black. I will fix that right away. Don't worry. Be happy. Just paint it in. Just like that. So, if you want to fast dry your miniatures, you can always use a hair dryer for that. Like I am doing right now. Okay, so now we will pick out here the white tree and this little star symbol on the banner. And for that I'm mixing now a 50-50 mix out of ash and grey. So what is 50-50? Well, just take 1 part grey on your palette. Wash your brush. And then take 1 part ceramide white. Also, just simply take a little bit and mix them together. So that is a nice bright grey. Adjust your brush like shown previously. And then we barely touching going over here the tree. And paint him in. Barely touching. Be patient, take your time, and if you're making a mistake, simply fix it. Not a problem. You see? Just like that. And if your brush is not overloaded, you can do it simply like that. And don't obscure the detail. So, again here the little star. Okay, is there something on the other side? Yeah, there's also a star. And there you can see I have made a mistake, but that's not kind of a big deal. We can simply fix that. Just retake your black. And done. So, now we take pure ceramide white. And we go over the tree again to brighten him up. Oops. Don't need to go over every single branch of the tree. That way it looks like he's highlighted a little bit. So again here the star. Star on the back. So and the miniature is almost done. Now we need a little bit more definition in the armor, and for that we also use an ink. This time we use Nuln Oil. So just take a brush, dip it in the wash, and then you're going over the armor. And that way the whole armor gets real nice definition and shadow lines, and it all of a sudden looks more three-dimensional. You see, very easy to do. Okay. Also here you can go over the banner pole. Okay. Now this needs to dry. This might take a while if you don't have a hairdryer, so you can paint on now something else until this is dry. Be right back. Now is a good time to give the miniature a proper base, and for that I'm using an old brush and some white glue, and simply paint the base with the glue. Quite easy process. Be careful to not overly paint the feet. It's okay if it's here and there a little bit on the feet, because that gives also a little bit of an impression that the miniature is actually inside the terrain and not just on top of it. So, and after this stage is done, we simply take our sand. This here is a mixture of several versions of sand. It's playground sand and some little gravel, then GW sand, bird sand, and that gives a nice mixture. So simply sprinkle it over, dab the excess off, and voila, you have sand on the miniature. Go around the base with your finger to remove something that might have been on the sides, and that you will now give a wash. doesn't matter if it is dry or not. So we will now use Argrax Earthshade for that. And we also use an old brush for that. And then just dab the wash on it. Don't really paint it because, well, the sand is still loose a little bit. But if you simply dab it on, it works just fine. So. And that we will leave to dry now. So, we are quite far now in painting this miniature. What we will do now is re-highlight a little bit the armor, and for that I'm going back with a Ironbreaker metal paint and I'm highlighting now carefully some of the edges, just like that, you see? And bring out the details. Like here on his helmet, barely touching. Also a quite easy step, but with a great effect. But keep in mind to leave the shadow areas, the recesses, so that it is still nice determined where the shadow lines are. So here a little bit on front, there a little bit. Don't overdo it, here and there. So here at the back. So, and the miniature is almost done. We can now paint in the eyes. You don't have to do this, but you can if you want. And for that, I'm using now Screaming Skull. So, take a little bit on your brush. And then you will go in and paint the eye. Like that. And the same on the other side. Okay. And now I'm taking black again for a little dot in the middle. Always adjust your brush that has a good tip. And then carefully you go in. It's too warm in here, so I have to wetten the brush a little bit so that the color doesn't dry out while you're doing that. So, that's good. Okay, again, grab some color on a slightly wet brush, adjust the tip. And then you go in. Ah, damn it, I needed another brush. This one is destroyed. Okay. It's always good to have several brushes at hand. So. And here we go. Sorry for the not so sharp vision. So I will shade the face a little bit more, and for that I use also Nude oil. I want to have dark shadows here at the sides. I'll go in with that. Also here around the eye area. And voila, he has a little bit more definition. Okay. I think the miniature is almost done. Now let's finish up the base. And for that, I will take now Avalanche Sunset, this here. Take a dry brush. And slightly dry brushing the base. Well, this is not completely dried yet, so some of the rocks might loosen itself, but that's not kind of a big deal. So, okay. Now I will mix this color with Screaming Skull again, 50-50. Brighten that up. Okay, and now I will go in with pure Screaming Skull. So, yeah, that looks good. Wash out the brush. I'll be right back. There I'm back. Now we will finish up the base with one of my self-made grass tufts. I'll simply choose one and take it off of the paper. And you could also use the grass tufts from Games Workshop or Army Painter, doesn't matter. Where is my white glue? There it is. So, just take some white glue, place it on the base, like that. And then with a tweezer, I will place the grass tuft now on the base, like that. Ta-da! And the base is ready. Now we will take him gently off the holding device, and we will paint the corner now of the base. So for gaming miniatures, I like to use a brown or a black. This time we will use this here, Mournfang Brown. Okie dokie. Take an old brush and then start applying it around. Get rid of all the hairs. And gently paint the corner, or the edge, not the corner, of the base. So make it a nice even coat. Dab it off 1 or 2, 3 times on a little paper, and then the miniature is done. Ta-da! I hope you liked this tutorial about the Warrior of Minas Tirith, and we see us in the next video. Alexandra.